Ahoy folks, and welcome back to Broadside Gaming with me, Zug. So today, we're going to try and do a beginner's guide because well, one of our lovely members from YouTube has asked us to help out with a beginner's guide for his friend. So this one's for you, Chief, and for everyone else who's just started getting back into Darktide or just getting into Darktide now with the big update. So we're not going to be jumping onto one of these characters. We're actually going to create a new operative and we'll take it all from there. So, let's start out. You have your 4 classes. You have your veteran, very shooty centric, can do melee but is mostly ranged. The zealot, pure melee. Very fast paced, lots of hacking and slashing, very fun class to play. I would suggest zealot as a beginning class. It's the class I started out on, and the way they play, you kind of learn a bit of everything with it. You learn a bit of gunplay, you learn melee, you learn how to deal with hordes all around you. It's a good place to start. Psyker, it is a glass cannon, an amazingly fun class. This was the first class I tried to play before the zealot, and I failed horribly. But I didn't have a handy dandy guide like this to help me through it. Now, I'm not going to try and put you off of any class. Just pick what you like. I mean, you can make all 4 of them, but I would say Zealot's probably quite a good place to start, and possibly the Ogryn. Though the Ogryn does have a few drawbacks that aren't really its fault, mostly because of just its general size. It does get tagged quite a bit more, and netters are evil. But, again, not going to put off anyone. Ogryn is my favourite class at the moment. But yeah, just pick what you like, really. So we're just going to start off on the Ogryn. Okay, and for your homeworld, you can get as fancy as you like, or like me, who does not give a hoot. We're just going to go for Branks, because it's the name of a pickaxe in the game, and then we're going to go for military lackey. And where do we want to be from? The Miners Guild, because it's all pickaxe related. Or a mining accident. This is actually how you define your character, but most of this, it doesn't mean anything anymore, and you can change all of this in game for currency. You can just re-roll your character. Now we have to make our Ogryn. So how would we like our Ogryn to look? You have a lot of Ogryn faces. I think we're going to be a Caucasian Ogryn this time. I think that's the face I went for. Eyes. So these ones make you blind. This is losing an eye. And that's just dual eyes. There you go. These ones you can only pick if, like the purple ones, you can only pick if you chose the if Cadia as your homeworld. But other than that, you can just basically pick whatever you want. Let's give him baby blue eyes. Hairstyle. What do we think? Do we want a bald Ogryn, or do we want to give him a lovely head of hair? There we go. Bit of that. It's alright. Facial hair. Obviously, we need a giant beard. Lovely. Ooh, even more lovely. And of course, you go through all the tattoos that you like, and you pick whatever the hell you want, really. I'm not really going to bother with these scars. Yep. So, the one thing that does actually impact your gameplay when you're creating a character is your height. Obviously, if you're taller, you can be seen more and you can be shot more. If you're short, not so much for the Ogryn, but for other characters, you can't actually see over the heads of things, so you can only shoot what is directly in front of you. It's not that restricting, but I mean, it is something that happens in the game. So you can either just leave it as medium or pick whichever extreme you want. I'm going to go for short, because my Ogryn is very tall and I get stuck in doorways.
If you want not share strange life, not part of the
So, this
not part of
is how you choose your personality. All that is your personality. You choose that voice. You have a set of voice lines that your character will use forever and ever. You're not locked to this anymore. As I said, if you hate the way you've built your character, you don't have to re-roll. You can just go to the cosmetic area, and there's a guy in there that will basically mind wipe you, and you can start again. As Nogrid, we're obviously going to go for Misplaced Faith because we are super, super loyal to Emperor. And then, of course, we pick our name. Going for a strong name, Zug. Nah. And then you've got the prologue. Now, I'm not going to ruin this for you guys. The prologue is just a little starting mission that kind of gets you used to the controls. I'm not going to play through it, because if this is your first, step into Darktide, I don't want to ruin it for you, because it is actually pretty cool. So, we're going to jump in, and we are going to talk about the systems that you are imminently going to have to deal with. And the first of those is incredibly long load times for no particular reason. Alright, I'm not going to spoil the cutscenes for you. So, thank you, Zola. You've made your character, you've gotten into game, you're now suddenly inundated with people talking in chat. Thanks, dude. So, there are a few things that you're going to have to work with within this system. So, if you press escape and go into operative, you can see all of your stuff. How the hell do I turn this chat off? It's really irritating me. Oh, I can't figure it out. Goddamn people. So, the systems that you need to be aware of. First up is the weapons that you're going to be using. So as you can see here, you aren't going to be getting your first Curio, which is a trinket that buffs you, until level 8. But you do have access to your primary and your secondary, which is a billy club and a kickback. Now, as you level up a bit more, you will get access to different weapons. At the moment, as a brand new character, you can't quite touch the Armory exchange, and you can't touch the Shrine of the Omnissiah. But don't worry, I am going to jump onto a higher level character. This is just, I want to show you guys what it looks like when you immediately start playing. So you have access to nothing, which in my opinion isn't great, because these systems are a bit weird and you kind of need to get used to them as quick as you can. So this is your mission terminal. This is where you're going to be getting all of your missions from. Don't want to ruin the cutscenes for you. As you can see here, most of them are locked out apart from level 1s and level 2s, which is fine. You're brand new to the game. You really don't want to be jumping into the highest level. You may think people would be happily to boost you so you get more experience. No, they're not. They're really, really not happy to boost you. So, this is what it's going to look like. And you can select all of these, and sometimes they have a little sign on them there, a little grey sign. That means they have grimoires in there. Grimoires are a collectible book that you can run the mission with, and basically gives you nothing. Like, they're pointless, basically. Some people collect them for achievements, but other than that, they don't give you anything. They don't work like the Grims and Tomes in Vermintide 2 do. And then the other thing you want to be looking at is, on this one, there is a little yellow sign on it, which is a dog and a V, which means it is a low intensity, which is the V, hunting grounds, which is the dog. And it says multiple reports of hounds activity in the drop zone. On the plus side, you should have fewer heretics to handle. So low intensity means there are less enemies on the map, but the hunting grounds means there are packs of chaos hounds that will spawn and basically try to disable you. Chaos hounds are one of the disablers in the game. They jump on you and keep you pinned to the floor until somebody knocks it off of you. And these maps will have packs of them, but they're only little babby ones which don't pin you forever, but they do pin you for long enough to make it annoying. So that is what the game's going to look like when you first step in. Now let's go over some of the systems. So I'm going to switch back over to my actual Ogren, who looks dashing in his leather daddy coat. So the systems it doesn't really explain to you are Brunt's Armory, Siremilk, and crafting. So we're gonna go from left to right on this, and I'm going to show you what each of these shops do. So this is the commissary. The commissary is where you can buy outfits for your character for dockets. Dockets you get by doing missions, selling weapons, that sort of thing. It's just the normal in-game gold currency. And as you can see, you get costumes for everything. They're mostly reskins of the costumes you get for playing, but, you know, they're quite nice. Next up is the Commodore's Vestures. And this is the in-game cash shop. I wouldn't worry too much about this at the moment, especially if you haven't decided on what you're going to be playing as your main. This is just a place that you can buy fancy outfits. But yeah, really don't worry about that just yet. Then we've got the shrine. This is going to be tracking all of your penances. Penances are just fancy things you did in the game that add a slight twist on the gameplay, and you get a penance. Again, I wouldn't worry too much. I just wanted to show you where it is, and you can read through these at your leisure. Then, one of the systems you will be interfacing with in the game, but not until you're slightly higher level, which is Siremilk's Requisition. So, how does it work with Siremilk? As you can see here, there are some very high level weapons with high level blessings on. But to get these, you will have to do the contracts. Now, they change over every Sunday at midnight GMT, depending on if it's daylight savings or whatever. It's either 1 a.m. GMT or midnight GMT, or every Sunday. So you have a week to complete these tasks. And to be honest, most of them aren't that difficult. If you get anything that says collect 16 grimoires, just replace it, because it's stupid. So you do these, and you get the Siremilk Fun Bucks. So you get 370 for doing this one, and a 530 for that one, and so on and so forth. And when you've done all 5, you get an extra 1,000 for completing everything. So with these, you can go to Siremilk, and you can buy stuff from his limited time acquisitions. And if, like me, you have a metric ton of them and don't really care about this stuff, you can also buy unknown things. Now, this is an absolute RNG crapshoot. You have no idea what you're getting. It could be good, it could be bad. But I would steer clear of this one for now, because you don't really have any. Hold on to it until you see something in the shop that you like. And next up, we've got Brunt's Armory. This is where you'll be getting all of your weapons from. You can either buy them from the shop itself, as you can see here. There's the 3 rarities that you can buy in the shop. You can buy blue, which is anointed. You can buy green, which is redeemed, or you can buy grey, which is profane. These weapons won't stay at this rarity level. You can upgrade this at the crafting station, but we'll get into that in a minute. So first of all, we're just going to explain about weapons. So, as you can see here, let's just pick one at random. Let's go for the cleaver. So with weapons in this game, you can see they've got these bars, and honestly, it doesn't really explain what they are. So these are called modifiers. So each weapon has a set of modifiers on it. Not all weapons are the same. Some weapons have different modifiers than others, like this one has defense, whereas this one has penetration, and finesse and mobility and all that sort of thing. We're just going to look at the knife. So how do you know whether it's a good weapon? Well, at endgame, what you're going to want is to find a weapon. Let's see if he's actually got one. Ah, there we go, like this Power Maul. This Power Maul at endgame would be considered pretty good. Or God Roll. But that is because, as you can see here, there are 2 numbers on each modifier. So this damage, it says 5680. What does that mean? Well, you can empower weapons. So 80 means that is the max that this weapon can reach. And as you can see, 50 is currently at 56. So when you empower the weapon, it will max out at 80 here, 80, 80, 80, and then crowd control only is 60. And that is what we call a dump stat. It is a stat that we want to be the lowest. Now, the reason I'm talking about this weapon is because these 5 modifiers will all add up to 380. And that is a maxed out weapon. So 380 is the highest a weapon can be. So that's what you're looking for. Even as you're leveling up, these weapons will be in here. You'll be able to occasionally find them. And the reason I say this isn't like God roll, but this is just fiddling with meta later on down the line. But I will explain a small amount to you. So for me, for this to be God roll, you don't want crowd control to be at 60. You want defense to be at 60. And that can roll differently on different weapons. But it's something that it doesn't explain to you. And I'll touch a little bit more on that on the end, but it's not imperative that you know this right now. So just for now, keep your eye out for weapons that these 5 modifiers add up to 360. If you can find some good ones while you're leveling up, brilliant. If not, it's not a problem. The entire game loop is finding weapons. You're not missing out that much at all. And of course, you've got different weapons that do different things, and if you're really stuck for how the weapon works, you can press on one and go to V. This will inspect the weapon. Now, your special action with this Bronze Basher is a punch. It's a low damage but relatively high impact attack that ignores stagger reduction. That is your extra action button. On my keyboard, it's mouse button 4, but you can rebind your keys however you like. And it shows you the attack chain, the heavy attack chain. And if you want some more information, you can press E, and it shows you all this. I wouldn't worry about any of this for the moment. It's incredibly confusing if you don't know what you're looking at, and you're just going to get stuck. Because it's absolute madness the first time you look at that sort of thing. But yeah, that's generally what you'll find in Brunt's Armory. But you'll also find up here are the tabs. He sells ranged weapons as well. And it's basically the same thing for this. You look at the modifiers, just as you're leveling, pick up the best one that you can find of the weapon you want and use it. It's like this one. Actually, that's quite good. I might buy that one. As you can see, this one, the dump stat is ammo and everything else is very high. Now that can become a god roll weapon because that has the modifiers exactly how we need it. So later on, I can I'll show you what I'm doing with that weapon in the crafting. I think that's a good idea. So that's how you look for base weapons. And then you've got Curios, which are the trinkets. These you will unlock as you play through. You won't have access to all 3 trinkets to start off with, but as you level, you'll just be given them. Now, with these, there are 4 different types of curio. Okay, I'm going to show you in my character. So the 4 different types of curio. There is a maximum toughness curio, which maxes out at 17%. There is a maximum health curio, which maxes out at 21. There is a stamina curio, which maxes out at +3 max stamina. And then there is a wound curio. Now, I've only shown you the top ways that these can roll out. They can roll below 17. They're not always like that. These are just the top ones that have rolled. I've sold everything else. So as you're buying stuff from the shop, keep your eyes out for ones that look like this with 17, 21, 3, and the wound ones just always come with 1 wound, so you don't have to worry about those. And curios are basically buff sticks. As you can see, you can change the perks on them and what they're giving you. You can go for health, toughness, damage resistance, gunners, all sorts, corruption resistance grimoire, damage resistance toxify. There's lots and lots of things you can put on them. Now, I would suggest at the moment for you guys, while you're leveling, this is what you do with your curios. Once you have enough to actually be able to enchant them, should we say. And once you've leveled it up to max, I would enchant it with, or craft it with, what am I saying enchanted? God damn it. I would put on it, where the hell is it? Plus 10% experience. And plus 10% auto dockets rewards from missions. This is going to help you get a real head start, these two perks here. This is going to help you level faster. This is going to help you get money faster. And while you're leveling up, curios really don't matter that much. Okay? So use them to get yourself ahead. Because when you get to like your max level for your character, which is 30, then you can go online and preferably on my channel and look for builds. And these builds will tell you exactly what weapons, talent points, and curios that you need to use with the build. So you do not have to work this stuff out for yourself if you don't want to. Obviously, you can if you want to make your own builds. That's absolutely awesome. I encourage that completely. So let's talk about the crafting station that they have very, very little information about for new players. So we're going to look at the grenade gauntlet we just bought. As you can see, it's grey, it's profane. This is exactly how you will find weapons in Brunt's Armory. So what are we going to do to it? Well, when you've gotten yourself some dockets, some plasteel, and some diamantine, which you find during games and levels, these two are the crafting materials. This is the cash that you get for completing missions. And these will all be needed to actually empower and buff and bless and do all things to your weapon. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to consecrate it because it's profane, which means we can't put any refinements or any blessings on the weapon. So to do that, we enter Hadron, find the weapon that we want to mess about with, and we've got the grenade gauntlet. So, okay, the first things first is we're going to consecrate it. And as you can see, consecrating this grey weapon turns it green, which is redeemed, and we get our first perk from it. There we go. Now, back in the good old days, this was an absolute crapshoot. This is where, even if you had a perfect weapon like this, if this rolled wrong, you couldn't use the weapon because Hadron would brick it. Now, you don't have to worry about that whatsoever because we can change everything on a weapon. And if you've got enough crafting resources, obviously we can consecrate it again to get it up to blue. It's now anointed. And we've got our first blessing. So you don't see your first blessing until you've hit anointed. And the blessings are modifiers to a weapon that change how it works, or to debuff or buff yourself, debuff the enemy or buff yourself. Now we're going to push this to exalted, which is purple, and we'll get our second perk. And then last but not least, we're going to take it to transcendent, which is the highest a weapon can go, and we will get our last blessing. And there you have it. That is how you consecrate weapons to the highest difficulty. Highest rolled thing. Basically make them transcendent. There you go. Goddamn words are failing me today. So you've got your weapon, but your perks and blessings aren't how you want them. Well, once you've leveled up a bit more, you'll have access to Hadron, and you'd be able to change how the weapon works. So first of all, we're going to refine it because we're going to change these perks. And this is where you can choose exactly what you want to put on the weapon. So I'm just going to choose, I don't know, flak and unyielding. There you go. As you can see, it's got the perks I want now. And as for blessings, blessings work slightly differently now. And I'm going to talk about that now. So to get blessings, you have to work within the mastery system, which is a brand new system that came out a few weeks ago. And as you can see, each weapon family has a mastery. So let's just talk about the grenade gauntlet. So when you first start out, these are all going to be empty, right? And you get mastery points by using the weapon, especially if you're using the increased experience on the curios. That will help you level the weapons faster. But when you're doing this, So let's go to the grenade gauntlet. We go to the blessings menu. Here are the blessings that this weapon can have. Now, when you first start out, you won't have any. You won't have any blessing points because you have to work through this system and level it up as you go. Once you get to max level, this does not take long. 4 or 5 missions and bang, you've leveled up a weapon. But as you're leveling, it will take longer. So I would suggest, if you've got a weapon and you don't know what blessings you want, you can always go onto YouTube and find a guide talking about the weapon and what's the best things to take. I'm not going to go through what's the best blessings on this. This is just about the system. So as you level the weapon up, you will get blessing points, and you'll gradually fill all of these blessings up until you've unlocked all of them. You unlock all of them anyway, so you don't have to choose. You just choose which ones you want to unlock first. That is the only decision you have to make. So once you've unlocked all of these, you can then put any blessing you want on the grenade gauntlet that we have just built.
Let us see what can be done.
Now we've talked about the mastery system, there is also something you can do to level it up faster. And this is where you can sacrifice weapons. So, sacrificing weapons, what does it do? So you choose the family you want to level. I'm going to say the Delver's Pickaxe, I want to level those up. As you can see on mine, it won't let me because I've maxed out everything. But what you can do, if you pick any weapon in here that basically you don't want, or it didn't roll right or anything like that, you can sacrifice it to give this weapon family experience. Now, you do get more experience if you sacrifice like for like, which by that I mean you're doing pickaxes. If you sacrifice pickaxes to it, you get double experience. But if you were to sacrifice, say, a ripper gun to a pickaxe, you would only get half experience. But if you have lots and lots of weapons, it's not really a bother. But that's just how that works. Now, the mastery system can look a little bit overwhelming when you start, but all you have to know is the bare bones basic thing is you will unlock these the more you use that weapon. Okay? And this is both for ranged weapons and melee weapons. You just use the weapon and it will unlock, and then you will be able to empower your weapon up to 500. That is the other thing that Hadron can do for us.
Do you wish your armaments to be
So let's go back to that grenade gauntlet that I was doing. So as you can see, I've got the perks I want. I can now re-bless it. So let's just say I want, I don't know, Blaze Away and
I trust you,
Shattering Impact.
Violet.
This isn't a build guide at all. I'm just picking them at random here. So now I've got tier 4 blessings on my grenade gauntlet, and I've got tier 4 perks. But as you can see here, the bars aren't full. They're still saying 78 out of 80, 23 out of 62. Well, that's because we need to empower it. And that is the other part of the crafting system. So as you can see, all of these have got different numbers on. That means what power they are currently at. When they're fully empowered, they'll be at 500. As you can see here, there are no bars that aren't the exact same number on both sides. That means it's maxed out. So to empower, after you've leveled up and you have access to the system, you can come over to here. And as you can see, it's saying these numbers will change to these numbers. And then you hold this button to upgrade it. There you go. It's gone to 390. But it is quite expensive to start off with. So I wouldn't worry too much about empowering your weapons until you get to max level. This is only going to make a very small difference to you at the level you're playing at. So I would save your money and your resources for empowering weapons you actually want to carry on playing with. This is just how the system works. But that's pretty much how the crafting system works. Yeah. It's a bit confusing, but it's pretty self-explanatory after you kind of think about it for a bit. There's lots of things going on, but it works pretty simply. Now, as you're playing through, of course, you're going to unlock different levels of missions. See, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now, of these, I would suggest, unless you're playing with a pre-made or somebody's boosting you, don't jump into the higher level ones straight off the bat. people can be quite arsey in this, and it's not worth your time. Practice, and once you feel like you've mastered the level you're doing, yep, then move up. Once you start feeling that level's a bit too easy for you, try the next one, see how you feel, and then just do it like that. It will make you a better player because you will get down how everything works. But if you just jump into the highest thing you can and you're getting smeared across the floor continuously, you're not really learning anything. And that's not good for anyone. Now, speaking of learning, I know this video is going on for a while, but I'm trying to get as much info for newer players as possible without confusing everyone. So speaking of learning, you can come down here to Stephanie. And what she does is, there is the meat grinder, which is literally just a training room with all of the game's monsters and enemies in it that you can test your weapons out on. And you can choose whatever level you want them to be, and that is how much health and defenses they will have. So if you do it on Damnation, they will all be how they would be in the Damnation level of difficulty. Now, there are two other things: basic training and additional training. I would highly suggest you try both of these out. They only take about 10 minutes. And this will try and explain some of the combat systems to you. For example, cover, coherency, suppression, that sort of thing. And these are quite important things to know. A lot of people in this game do not bother with coherency, even though it's one of the main group buffing techniques that is out there. There you go, folks. That is a very, very brief overview of what to expect when you first start playing Darktide. If you do have any more questions, or if I've missed anything, please do comment down below and let everyone know. As you know, I did this off the top of my head, so I may have missed a few bits, I may not have missed. If I've confused anyone about anything, please do ask in the comments below. I will be happy to answer any questions. But until then, take it easy, enjoy your first tarry into Darktide, and I shall see you all later. So until then, take it easy, see you later.